right, welcome into Bettor's Last Stand. We're in our new and improved Pine Room office studio here, and thanks to Jub, who's producing the show today as usual.
Hi.
Jub, wonderful job. This place looks awesome. You guys did the regular podcast in here earlier in the week, and we're giving it the first run-through of Bettor's Last Stand. And we actually have a special guest, Lauren the Bettor, who's going to join us today in our last segment. I got Soup with me along with Coach. Jub, as I said, he is here producing the show as usual. So welcome into Bettor's Last Stand. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been with you. The guys had some car trouble on the way back up from Deep Creek, so we weren't able to tape last week. So hopefully everybody was at least able to follow some of the Pine Room picks that we put out there. Actually did all right in the bowls, which we're going to talk about. But as I mentioned, Lauren the Bettor coming up on the show today. We're going to talk a little bit about the sad situation that happened the other night in Monday Night Football. Going to go through the college football playoff and what's left of it. There's one game remaining, and then recap a little bit about the bowls, and then go through the NFL card as well. Soup and Coach, welcome. The studio is pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, we're slowly making progress, almost totally completed. There's still some decorating to do and some wire fixing to do. Jub has to do, but man, this has really turned out well. We broke it in really in grand fashion a week ago, as we had christened it with the WKKX Christmas party, and I think we had what did we stuff, about 15 people in here, Jub?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in here. There were
it was packed.
3 chairs off the side that you can't see. Both those are up. They were taken up. These were taken up. There were 2 next to me. You can't see me on camera if you're watching this. I'm below you, but there were a lot of people in here. It got hot quick.
It got really hot.
What a fun time.
At one point, I looked at Jub and said, "We already need a bigger office."
Yeah, it was fun. We had football. We got 2 TVs, so we had football on both TVs, and we had fun. We had some gambling going on and a lot of drinking, some eating, and we really broke the office in grand fashion. So it's been a really fun project, and once again, thanks to Kayleen and Rocky and all the folks who have welcomed us in here to WKKX, and Lola. She's such a big part of everything for us, and hopefully we can continue doing this for quite a while. And it's good to be sitting relaxing.
It's comfortable in
nice
here.
Comfy chair.
Different look. I love the lighting. I know you say you're going to work on some of that, so bear with us, folks. Jub will continue to improve this. I wouldn't have expected it to be perfect the first time, but he'll continue to fine-tune it and get it right to where we need to be. There's no doubt about that, but we are really lucky to have this. This is coming along really nicely, and it is kind of cool just to be able to come in here and not have to worry about setting things up, running cables and all this stuff. And like I say, I could just take a nap in these chairs.
Yeah.
It's pretty comfortable. Soup, you've been traveling around. Welcome back.
Yeah, this is
How was
awesome.
your time with Sammy?
Good. We spent some time in Florida, North Carolina.
Every day you were in a different state.
Savannah, Georgia. That's the thing, man. They gotta get. I know the Indian tribes, and I understand the history behind it. You know how much fun people would have at those bars down there where it's nice out the whole year. They've got rooftop bars. They have beautiful outdoor venues where people eat and drink. If one of those bars, the entire bar was on the same bet, It would be one of the coolest atmospheres I've ever seen.
Yes, agreed. They'll eventually get it there, but it's going to be a while. In Florida, I assume you're speaking of, or even what do they have as far as Carolina?
Carolina, as you say, the Bible Belt. That's the big thing, because there's no Indian tribes affiliated with the Carolinas, right?
But do you have anything there? Do they have brick and mortar yet down there? I think they're not yet.
I don't think so.
Because I know they keep passing the law, but they never actually do.
My thing is, people are doing it. So why don't the states now take advantage of it and find revenue from it?
Yeah, it's strange to think that they would pass on that
because it's not a political thing, right or left, right? Because there's states that are right and left that have it.
Yeah, no, I mean it shouldn't be. For years it would be considered a conservative type act, but then you get the Bible thumping people that don't like it. So it's I don't know. It there really isn't a political aspect to it, but I guess within each state there is, as they cease all for power.
And now is it the governor's decision, or can the state vote on it?
No, so it would go to the legislature of the particular state, and then they would pass it. The governor would sign off on it, and then they would implement it, which it's like 3 different phases. And, California, which we talked about on the show, they voted across the state to shut it down. So they had an opportunity to have it in California this past election, and they voted down 2 bills that would have brought it there. And, I don't know. We'll see. I always thought every state but Utah would have it, but since it's ultra conservative, but I don't know. We'll see.
A state you're very fond of, Maryland. They just started, because I remember last year we were in Deep Creek. We had to drive to Pennsylvania to put picks in.
Yes, we've had to do that a few times. We were over at Tim's house. So,
I was a corpse in that car.
Job, grab the Bettor's Last Stand sign. I want to show people the.
Oh yeah, I'll
our
get
new
it. You go ahead and keep talking.
Talking.
Maryland, went live right around Thanksgiving, which I was lucky enough to be over there and take advantage of some of those offers. And then actually on New Year's Day, Ohio, a huge opening day for Ohio, almost $11.5 million bet in there really quickly.
Wow!
Imagine how much it would have been if they'd opened New Year's Eve with the Ohio State game.
Yeah,
so I'm sure the books are happy because Ohio State covered. So.
And Governor DeWine's probably happy, right?
Yeah. That money, if used correctly, and now they're putting in all these small bars, machines that you can do sports betting wagers and parlays on. So it's good. I'm glad to see it happening. I encourage people to drive across the river if you're in West Virginia, or if you're listening to us from Ohio. Take advantage of all those promos. They have a ton of books in Ohio, far more than we have in West Virginia, some that we don't have in West Virginia. So get over there, take advantage.
So, Matt, how does it work if for example, let's just say DraftKings is in Ohio now. Say DraftKings makes $100 million in 2023. How much of that has to go to Ohio?
Well, it depends on the casino you're betting it through. So, and similar to West Virginia, whereas each one of those operators has its own either casino they're affiliated with. Actually, and I could be wrong about this. Ohio may be slightly different than West Virginia. West Virginia, every mobile book has to be affiliated with a brick and mortar casino.
Got it.
In Ohio, I don't think it is. I think you could actually do mobile providers. So it would just be anything that's bet geolocation wise within the state of West Virginia or Ohio in that case. And on your app, then they would get the cut of that. They would pay the state what they owe them, and they would keep the profits.
Cool.
So yeah, that's how it works there. And like I said, there's tons of apps in Ohio right now. I mean, every day I'm getting a promotion for a new one.
Sweet.
The thing that sucks for us is you can't really do the DraftKings and FanDuel if you already have accounts in West Virginia. But you can if you're over on the way through somewhere, or you're at the mall, or you're somewhere in Ohio, you can now bet though, which is cool because a lot of times I'd be over there and I'd be like, I want to put something in, and I'm like, I'm not in the States, so I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, I'm glad to see it happening. And again, I urge people to go over there. They're giving you free money. Like tonight, they got one of those dollar bet NBA things. They're going to give you like $500 on it. It's just, I mean, they know they're going to get it back, and that's the smart part about it. I mean, very few people will be disciplined enough to not give it back. But
there's our
Coach.
There's our new one of our new decorations. Generously given to Jubb for a Christmas present by his very good friend Hannah.
Hannah made those?
Hannah made those for us.
No way. Thank you, Hannah.
We have a Bettor's Last Stand
lovely
picture.
This is awesome.
A regular pine room.
Hannah made that, Jubb?
And soup and stuff.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Well done.
These are going up on the wall to help decorate and make this place even more special. So
that's awesome.
She did well there. Very well.
Give it the homey feeling. Now, I do have one bone to pick with you guys.
Uh-oh.
We need to have James Harrison down here on the desk. I'm disappointed about that, as well as Jay Bruce. So we got to get those.
I'm working on some trophy case like
I want James
shelves.
Harrison right here on my shoulder.
We're gonna get all the stuff that's, and I said this on the podcast when we were down here. I think we're gonna get all of the stuff that's important to the Pine Room in here. So I was looking up a Tom Thumb poster. I was looking up Joan of Arc poster.
What if Tom Thumb's got a bobblehead though? Probably not.
We could get
it
made.
A small one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be tiny guy. Fit it in your pocket. But anyway, great stuff. Great surroundings here. Glad to be with you guys. It's fun to be back, and this is a cool place to be taping. Let's start talking a little bit about sports betting. Let's just start off with the news of the week, obviously. Reflections on the Damar Hamlin situation. Soup, what were you thinking when that happened? And we'll obviously get into the betting implications of it, but obviously our thoughts and prayers are with him.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. I thought it was.
Were you watching?
And
the
I
game?
got goosebumps again. Yeah, thinking about it, just because watching everyone come together about it and like actually hearing people pray and put out kind words and how much money was donated to his cause, millions and millions of dollars. And I said so many prayers for him that night, and I know so many other people did. And Dan Orlovsky, I don't know if you saw that clip yet or not, but he paused in the middle of his show and said a prayer with other people.
Yeah. And you don't see that very often from ESPN.
And I can't believe ESPN said out loud that they were doing CPR, because that's when it hit me. I saw everyone surrounded around him, and obviously I knew something was wrong. But when they said they were doing CPR, I couldn't help but think they can't keep this game going. They got to stop what's going on. They got to make sure he's okay. And we're starting to hear better news that their doctors are starting to see good signs. He's still in critical condition, but hoping for the best for him and his family, of course.
Yeah, Coach, were you watching when that happened?
Actually, I was upstairs doing something. I was sort of following on my phone, and I saw it was delayed.
It just stopped for it.
Well, it was delayed.
Yeah.
It had delay, and I thought maybe there was a weather issue or something. I yelled down to Jarrett, "What is somebody hurt?" And he said, "Oh my God, Dad, they're giving a guy CPR."
Yeah.
And like right away, I was like, "What? Like, a dude might like die on national television?" Well, and everybody's expressed all the feelings, but I thought some of the things that stood out to me. I thought Ryan Clark was phenomenal,
he was unbelievable.
I thought he was phenomenal. That's a situation that just arises, and you like Susie Kolber and
it's tough for them.
And Booger and Schefter.
And Schefter were after a while you can only. They
what can they say?
They had to kill so much airtime,
right.
and they just have to keep repeating. But they did a really good job. I thought Booger and Adam Schefter were really good, but I thought Ryan Clark was. I thought he was really, really good. I thought he really handled that well. Scott Van Pelt is awesome. I thought Scott Van Pelt was really good. Just covering that's such a hard thing. Just get thrown on you as a reporter.
For it either.
Yeah, but not only it's not like you have to kill 10 minutes or something. A lot of those guys had to kill hours. And I thought they really did a good job. Now Skip Bayless, Jubb and I think we're
I don't pay attention to shit as far as.
Did you read his tweet, Jubb?
Yeah, I hope.
It's unbelievable.
I'm not going to say what I hope, but that guy, it's just unbelievably classist to say stuff like that. Worried about football.
Even if it was misinterpreted, he should not have said what he said.
No.
How could it have been misinterpreted, though?
The fact that he was the only person in all of social media that I saw that spoke up about the game. It wasn't about the game anymore.
Yeah,
it was about Damar Hamlin and his family and himself making sure he's okay.
I think he probably was trying to make the point. Just that the game still has to be played. I'm saying,
right.
And he wasn't, and I'm sure deep down he was really concerned about Hamlin, but I just think he came across, and in social media, man, they can twist your.
It's terrible. It's
terrible. You can twist your meaning any way you want, way they want to do whatever they want with it. But he's in a pretty bad situation now. But then I heard Jubb told me him and Shannon Sharp got into it again. Did they?
This morning, I watched it. Did you see that video, Jubb? Shannon Sharp was talking, just giving his condolences again about Hamlin.
Well, because I think his brother, Shannon Sharp's brother or something.
Yeah, Sterling had a neck injury.
Yeah, he got paralyzed in the field or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up being okay, but they thought he was never going to be able to walk.
And Sharp was given his just speaking. The show just started on FS1, 45 seconds in, and he was talking, and he said something about Skip's tweet, and Skip interrupted him, and Shannon was like, "I can't even get through this without you interrupting me." And then Skip said, "Well, FS1, talking about their company,
probably helped their ratings."
He said the company doesn't even, they're not upset with me. How are you upset with me, or something like that? It was ridiculous.
Well, they had it out like a couple weeks ago about when Bayless talked about Brett Favre being better than Shannon Sharp. I don't know exactly what the specifics were of it, but man, did they get into it. Did you guys see that?
No.
Like 2 weeks ago.
I can't stand it.
Well, I don't either. I don't watch either one, but I did see that clip of Shannon Sharp just went nuts on Bayless. So I don't know what kind of relation. Maybe that's the kind of relationship they have. But anyway, I hope the guy's okay. And it's amazing how the entire country stopped for that particular, the entire country, not just football fans, just the entire country. And it was like eerie. It was really eerie. It was, you felt terrible. Like you didn't even, I don't even know who he was. I don't know who he was. I mean, I don't know the player. I mean, I obviously know about him now, but you felt so terrible. It was like, God, I just your emotions just are. It's just a weird feeling, and to think that they could possibly play that game. I mean, I wonder if the NFL actually thought. Like,
it sounds like they didn't, and I think honestly, and you know me, I'm not a defender of the NFL, but as more information's coming out, it sounds like they never
that 5-minute thing was never said,
and it was but it was like not about playing. It was like we're going to give the teams like 5 minutes to go to their sidelines, get their stuff together as we continue to figure out what we're going to do. They never once said, and I found it interesting, not one player that played in that game that was on the field said anything about anybody saying that they should play.
Right,
the coach is saying it. Sounded like both coaches, Zach Taylor got interviewed today about it and said when him and McDermott got together, they both knew they weren't playing.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer.
McDermott said, I can't coach right now, and he's like, I understand that. And the players, I think, all understood what was going on both sides. And I don't think the NFL, I honestly got to defend them here. I think, and again, social media had a lot of good things that night. You guys are right. It unified a lot of people, but it also has people taking shots, though. It did. Going after the NFL, how they're heartless, and they're going to try to send these teams back out. I really don't think that happened. And then people getting mad about the broadcasters, Buck. I mean, I don't like Joe Buck, but he's in a tough spot too. He's getting yelled at in his ear to say something, and they got that. Apparently, they got that 5-minute thing from John Perry, the head of officials, which he's only getting what he's getting from the official group. So I don't know. It's a tough time for everybody as they deal with that, and it is a sobering moment for the country and for everybody. But for me, I've already seen this happen once before with soccer, just not that long ago with Christian Eriksen having the exact same situation. The only thing different is they weren't impact hit. He just was kicking the ball and he fell down and he died on the field. He literally died. They resuscitated him, that kind of stuff. So it has happened before, and again, we don't like to make light of it, but this stuff happens a lot more than people realize in youth sports and in sports where you have hockey, baseball, lacrosse, ball sports where you're taking shots to the chest area and stuff. Happens a lot. A lot of kids die. And again, nothing to take anything away from this guy, Hamlin. It's terrible. But it does happen a lot more. Now, it's just on a big stage like that.
Yes.
It really made people realize, oh my, like this is just a game we play. And as fun as it is for people, or as miserable as it is for bettors, it's life. I mean, these guys have his little brother. Like I found that part very tough. Like I listened to his little 7-year-old brother was watching him, and went crazy with his uncle saying like, he's hurt, and then they was like freaking out. Like I just can't imagine that. Like your family watches you like that.
Soup, did you used to wear one of those chest?
Just a real little bit when I played baseball. I took it off because it was uncomfortable, but I didn't even realize that until people started bringing light to about the situation. And like they said, a youth kid playing lacrosse in Florida a few years ago
happens quite a bit.
Got hit in the chest with a lacrosse ball. They helped him. Yeah. Thankfully, that's
why having those AEDs are so important.
Yeah, and brought him back.
It's that must be some millimeter of a second in that heart when your heart beats. Right. That if you get hit at that particular moment, the electric
it's electrical current basically going through you. So
it disrupts it or something.
It's like tripping a breaker in your house. Like that instantaneous break right there in the cycle, and you're.
Did you guys, and then we'll move on because we could sit and talk about it. Did you guys originally think I thought when he stood up and went down, I thought it was a spinal injury. I thought that I
didn't know how he could stand up if he had a
spinal
injury. Unless he had like a stinger or something.
Well, I thought he stood up and he probably, you think, oh my God, if he would have just laid there. Yeah, right. And I thought he stood up and then maybe something happened in his spine.
Could have severed it fully or whatever.
That severed it and then he went down and what's cut off his, that's what I thought. Yeah. I thought, oh my God.
The more I looked at the replay, I was like, man, I don't think this is a neck injury.
Thank God it wasn't, and thank God he's okay. But anyway, that's something that we'll deal with. Now, one last thing, Matt. Do you think they'll reschedule the game?
No. So just to go over that from a betting perspective, obviously we refunded all the tickets on that game. It was pretty evident it wasn't going to be played. In our house rules, it would have needed to be played by today, which our game week for NFL was Thursday through Wednesday. So Wednesday would have been the cutoff for Week 17. We refunded all the bets. I do not see any way they're going to make this game up. The only way that they could do it is that they now have the 2 weeks in between the Super Bowl. They would have to move the championships all back It wreaks havoc with the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
All kinds. Not that anybody cares about that, but a lot of logistical issues. And again, I'm not sticking up for Skip Bayless here, but these guys, this is a business.
I know.
These guys, there's other teams impacted by this, and I know his was very poor taste, terrible timing of him to say anything.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, we got to start figuring out what we're going to do here. Unfortunately, I mean, we wish we could just mourn the guy and just stop hey, if they wanted to cancel the season, I'll be all right with it. But that's not going to happen. I mean, this is $1 billion enterprise here. So now you're on to how this is going to impact all these other teams, the teams who they play this week, and then the teams who are fighting for positions with the teams that were impacted.
Let's segue into that.
Yes.
So what teams negatively or positively? Well, the Chiefs got a break, right? Because they got the number one seed.
The Chiefs most likely are going to be the beneficiaries of this.
Yeah, they'll have the number one seed.
They are going to be the number one seed, basically.
And then the Ravens are.
The Ravens are the team that's going to be impacted the worst by it.
So let me ask you this now, and because
it appears anyway.
The Ravens. What was that again?
I think the Ravens are going to be the team that's impacted the worst by this. They now will not have a chance to win the division.
Correct. That's correct. Now let me ask you this: so if they don't play that game, the Steelers needed the Bengals to beat the Bills in that game, so that the Bills would play everybody to get the number one seed.
Correct.
So now
I still think the Bills are going to play everybody, because if the Chiefs lose, it depends.
You also
what happens
have
Saturday,
the 2 seed on the line here too. So if the Bills lose and the Bengals win, the Bills could still lose the 2 seed as well.
Okay, so the Bills will drop to 3.
They could, but that's going to depend on tiebreakers, and if they classify this as a tie, which is what they're talking about, or those teams will play 16 games. That's got to be figured out. Then win percentage.
Okay, so the Bills then are probably going to play to win.
Yeah,
obviously everybody plays to win, but I'm saying they're going to play to win.
Well, I would think the thing for the Bills is, I mean, you're going to want to win for your teammate, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how they're going to be mentally.
Yeah.
Until you get more news out about him, it's going to be tough for them to focus on this game.
I think if they get good news and he starts to really,
then I'll say look out.
They'll beat the Patriots by 40.
Yeah, I think they'll really get after it. But if things go downhill and it goes sideways or something, then a lot looming.
The Ravens. I mean, the Ravens got to be sick to their stomach.
Well, I yes and no. I mean, I think they would probably say this is just the breaks. Like, you know, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I guess you'll have idiot fans and people bitching and moaning about it, but I mean, what are they to do? Like, what are they going to do? Complain? I mean, if they would have just won last week, they'd still be in the mix anyway. But you know, they didn't. So,
yeah.
As bad as it sucks for them, they'll get over it. At least they're going to be in the playoffs. They know that. So,
okay, let's. Are we going to?
Yeah, let's start talking about
because I like
scenarios.
These NFL
scenarios are awesome.
We'll go through these scenarios and then we'll come back.
Here's one, and I was listening to ESPN or CBS or whatever sports show. What do you guys think of the scheduling with playing the Packers against the Lions late and the Seahawks early? So they should have flip-flopped that.
It was an awful job.
Or what they should have done, in my opinion, they should have put the Jags and the Titans in Monday night or the Sunday night game.
Sunday night, yeah.
Because that's the only game really that is winning in, losing out.
Well, because, Matt, if the Seahawks lose, now the Packers win, they're in. Or no,
Packers win, they're in anyway.
Anyway,
if the Seahawks would win, then the Lions are out.
Lions are out, so the Lions don't have anything to play for.
Those games should have been played.
If the Seahawks get beat, then that final game is going to be awesome between the Packers and Lions.
Yeah,
winner gets in.
Wait, what was that, Soup?
If the Seahawks get beat, now the Packers Lions winner goes in.
Right, but then your Seahawks are going to be heavily favored in the game. I don't know. I thought they should have played those two games simultaneously.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the 4 o'clock hour. I thought.
You know why they did it? Because of Brett Favre. 100%. They put Brett Favre at prime time.
Wait, Aaron Rodgers, you mean?
Good Lord.
I
can't believe I just said Brett Favre.
I hope he's not playing.
I can't believe I just said Brett Favre. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you said putting them at the same time. Like, do you like all the AFC situations at 1 o'clock like that?
Well, a lot of these games don't mean anything, so we won't go through our picks yet. We'll save that. But just going through these, a lot of these games, I guess a few of them do, but Minnesota still has something to play for. And then the Jets, I guess, and Dolphins each technically are still alive. And and then you're going to have New England, Buffalo, and then Baltimore and Cincinnati. Those games, Baltimore-Cincinnati, honestly doesn't mean a whole lot unless the Ravens would upset the Bengals and somehow the Bengals could fall. But I guess they could only fall. No, I don't even think they could fall.
Who are you talking about?
Cincinnati. Could they fall past 3? I think
Let's
I did
see,
have it. I had a seeding sheet here.
Well, because the situation we have with the Jets against the Dolphins and the Patriots and the Bills, we need as a Steelers fan, you need the Bills to win and you need the Jets to win. Yeah. So the Jets are going to have to beat the Dolphins as well.
Yeah, the Bengals can't fall past 3 if they declare this a tie or a non-competition.
Right.
The only way that could fall, that was right, if they would have lost to Buffalo. I thought what was really unfair, extremely unfair for Jacksonville to have to play on a short week while the Titans had 10 days off on Saturday night. I thought that was a terrible job by the league there. So that game should not have been on Saturday.
I thought that should have been Sunday night game.
Yeah, that should have been the Sunday night game. And then I do think Green Bay and Detroit and the Seattle game should have been played simultaneously at 4:25.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the Giants are not going to play any. Once the Giants won last week, the Giant game should not be the primetime game at 4:25 on Sunday. They're not going to play one player. So the Eagles are going to win the game. I mean, it'd be an act of God if they didn't. So the Eagles, that game doesn't mean anything. That should have been a 1 o'clock game. They should have moved that back to 1, and they should have left just those 2 playoff games with implications: Green Bay, Detroit, and the Seattle. And who did the Seattle play? Rams. Yeah, those games should have been at 4. And then you're right, the Tennessee Jacksonville game should have been.
That's why I just don't like that. I agree, because that Seahawks game now, it's like, are the Rams really going to stand a chance?
Baker Mayfield, him.
He's going to play spoiler?
Meddler.
Hey,
He's
going to play spoiler, maybe?
Listen,
maybe.
If you look back to several years in past, crazy things happen on the last week that you never dream.
Steelers got lucky last year and got in.
There was last year or two. There was actually a tie that tie that needed to happen.
It almost happened.
Well, last year it was Chargers and Raiders. They actually were sitting on a tie, and there was speculation that the coaches were going to agree to it.
Yes, I remember that.
Because if they both tied, both of them got in.
Right, and then who was out? Steelers?
The Steelers.
The Steelers were out. Yeah.
And they probably wish they were out because the Chiefs beat them.
Yeah. But, and the Steelers have a legitimate chance now. I mean, do you think the Browns will...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
God. Did you hear they're already talking smack?
Miles Garrett. Spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
Wants to play spoiler bad.
I don't know.
And the Steeler guys like Pickens and these guys, they can't resist. They'll take the bait. And they're gonna act like idiots.
Yeah. And actually, the Browns did not play bad last week, so maybe
you have to figure eventually Deshaun Watson's going to start getting into sync a little bit and playing a little bit better. Job, what do you think of that?
I think a lot of it. I think it's a great situation. I don't know. I have no idea.
I know. It's like to see where your mind was at the time talking about playoff scenarios. But anyway, we're going to come back to NFL, but lots to talk about before we get there. Let's jump into to the college football.
Yeah.
Thoughts about the bowls in general, and then just going back to the playoffs.
It's going to be. It better be awful good to top the 2 semifinal games. I mean, this final game, it's really going to be tough to top those 2 games. They were absolutely phenomenal games. TCU, the Cinderella story, that was awesome. I mean, that was unbelievable that they just kept, you kept thinking Michigan was going to put them away, and TCU answered every bell. And then the final game was just was unbelievable.
You couldn't ask for much more. TCU, I'm serious, Matt. If that line closes Monday night at like 12, 13, 14, I'd like TCU. I think the public's probably going to be all over TCU.
They are, which is not a good sign for them. Yeah. But they've been a public dog all year, and they've been getting the job done. And I'll be the first to say I did not think they would. I thought Michigan. Once Michigan cut it to like 2 or 3 there in the third quarter, I said, "Oh, this is over with." And then Michigan made mistakes, and a bad job by Harbaugh inside the not just the red zone, but just down inside the 5-yard line. The decisions that those coaches make are mind blowing. I mean, these are smart guys, and for whatever reason, they do the most insane things down near the goal line. And I just thought Michigan. I thought. At the beginning of that game, Michigan's guy breaks the early run, the first play of the game. He gets down there. I think if Michigan scores a touchdown there, there's no chance they're losing. I just don't.
Agreed.
And I think, and again, I know people say, well, J.J. McCarthy made a lot of mistakes. he also made a lot of plays. That guy's really, really good. He's 19 years old. He's good. I would tell you right now, keep an eye on him for Heisman down the road. He is legitimately good. He's going to be an NFL guy because his ball is beautiful. He's great in the pocket. I like the guy. I know he made some mistakes, but got to give TCU credit. Their defense made a few more plays than Michigan's did, and then their quarterback is just.
How do you not root for Max? Yeah, Max Duggan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't root.
He's
for him.
impressive. I give the guy credit. He would have been my vote for Heisman, definitely.
Yeah, so my favorite bet early in this game is the first quarter over the total.
I love it.
What's it at, 10.5?
Yeah,
13.5, right?
Yeah, well, you have a 12.5 here. I just bet it at 13.5.
Yeah, I love it too.
And you know, people say all these teams will come out and feel each other. No way. They're going to come out. They're going to throw.
Georgia's going to score in the first 3 minutes. I guarantee.
TCU throws. I mean, they don't. If
the clock never stops.
If they can run the ball on Georgia, if they have any running game, that's going to be a battle. But I love the first quarter over the total. That's my best bet.
Totally agree with that, Coach. Yeah. I think this game over is an absolute slam dunk.
I think it's way too low.
I think you play it quarter, half, and just keep doubling up. And I would say get in the end game and just start firing away.
I bet the quarter and the half over already.
I see no chance in the world of TCU stopping
I
Georgia.
agree.
Michigan's weapons very limited. They were down some guys. Their tight ends were both hurt. Georgia has a loaded tight end room. They are really good down the middle of the field. Outside, TCU's corners are pretty strong. Georgia just has too many weapons, and they can run the ball.
Yeah.
And I thought Michigan ran the ball really well on TCU. I think this is going to be a very explosive game.
I don't think TCU wants to get into a defensive matchup.
I don't think they want to have a choice.
No, yeah, they're going to need to score 40 points to win.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt, and that's what I think I met in one of our messages. I knew Ohio State was going to have to score. I think I said 42, and they got 41. They were one, and that's what won it because you could see it. I just kept betting the game over. It was just the stuff was not adjusted, and again, there's where your algorithm is not up to standards with the people watching. You could tell if you're a football fan or a football watcher, football bettor, you could tell in both of those games, especially after the Michigan left so many points on the board in the first half. You knew that I came back and just hammered the over in the second half of that game. And then the Georgia game, you just kept betting it because you knew the only way Ohio State could win was if they continued to score.
Absolutely. And I like the game. I don't know what they'll post the first score within it's usually like 6:30.
Oh, God, I love that, too.
I love that game. I love that score before the
time listed.
The time listed. Absolutely. Yeah. I think whoever gets the ball first is going to they know that they're going to have to score to win.
Yeah.
So I look for them to go. I mean, up tempo, not a. This isn't going to be a grind them out.
No,
the run.
And when they run the ball, they're Georgia especially is going to get big chunks of yards when they run the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
TCU be interesting to see if their running back is going to be back. I don't think he will be, so that's kind of a problem for them. But I think big plays. I think there's going to be points. Points. Normally, and Coach, you're the same. We're guys that like to take shots on unders, and we try to take value on that. And I totally agree with you. I think the total's too low, and I really, really like the over. I think the only way this game stays under is you get some red zone turnovers, maybe a long drive that fizzles out with nothing.
It's gonna be so fun to watch. It's gonna be a great game.
Good game. I just wonder, can TCU keep it up?
I hope so.
Man, it's gonna be tough.
But overall, what did you guys think of the bowl season? I thought the later day bowls were very good. The USC Tulane game was incredible. The finish, we're going to talk about the Mississippi State debacle because I was on Illinois plus 3.5 also. But a lot of the later bowl games were very good.
Yeah,
a lot of those games. Pitt UCLA game, that had a lot of twists and turns.
I'm so excited for this playoff to expand. I think that's going to be awesome.
It's going to be good.
And I guess the early bowl games just set the table for the later bowl games because
they did.
You watch. I mean, once you got into the later bowl games, the crowds picked up. There were 20,000, 30,000 people in the stands for some of those bowl games early on. I mean, there couldn't have been 2,000 people in the stands
maybe a couple
for some of those games,
so.
and they weren't very well played. And you saw a lot of unders. Early on.
If you didn't bet it, you didn't watch it.
Boy, that's the truth, too.
Even if you did bet it, you might not have watched it.
Well, that's true. And then there were some bad beats and some fun beats. And, it was...
overall, I thought pretty good bowl season.
I did too.
I went 38-24-1. That's incredible for me.
Wow.
That's probably one of the best ones I've ever had. But mixed in was a couple of miserable beats, as Coach mentioned. Not many worse than that Illinois game. Soup, did you happen to see the end of that game?
Horrible. That's got to be your worst bad beat ever, right, Coach?
Well, I wouldn't say ever, but it's in the top. It's
probably our worst one of the bowl season. So for those of you who weren't watching, go back and check this out. Illinois it is catching 3.5, as Coach and I both had them. Mississippi State, for some odd reason, they drive the ball down. They're in total control. They can kick a field goal that they decide to kick it on second down. And I didn't know why they didn't run one more play, because they had a timeout. And if they do that, they kick it, time expires. But they kick it. There's, 6 seconds left or whatever, 5, whatever. And kickoff, fair catch, and then the insanity begins.
But did you see the play? Illinois actually was moving the ball.
Yeah, they actually had. Once the guys started cutting from left to right, or like from the bottom of your screen to the top, I was like, oh man, this guy, he might get down inside the 20.
But, well, and then even if he wasn't going to score, at least they're getting in safe territory where that even if they fall on the ball, they're not going to run it in.
Right. No. And I was thinking, I was hoping for like a defensive penalty, like a face mask or something. Maybe had Illinois a chance to kick a field goal too or something. But that actually would have worked againch me anyway, because I did have them money line as well. But
and then the ball bounces right up to the guy.
And I knew that guy wasn't going to stop, because they were like, Mike Leach. Mike Leach was involved from above.
Yes, absolutely.
And anyway, folks, he fumbles. They turn it over. The guy from Mississippi State picks it up and goes like 75 yards.
Unbelievable.
And they win by 9.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Were there any other bad beats that we didn't talk about?
I mean, there was. I'm not really. I wouldn't say. I mean, honestly, if you had USC, you think that's a bad beat, but it wasn't. Yeah, your defense is just terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't think. I thought there was a couple. I thought the. Not to the magnitude of that. I thought the Rose Bowl game going over, I thought was a bad beat. That was a terrible Utah.
Oh, I had that over.
Yeah, it worked for you. It did not work for me. I know Champ had the over. He was pumped up. He was jumping up and down.
I had that over when Utah got the ball back. I was down in the basement with Jared. I said I might have a shot here, because they had 2 timeouts.
What was the total at?
52. It was 52, something around there.
Because it finished 35-21.
Well, it was 35-14. Penn State turned it over,
and the game was over for an hour.
And all he did was kept showing Sean Clifford walking around with that bucket full of roses, waiting to throw it on Franklin. And I said, get back to the play, get back, because. And I will say this, because I think Herb Street was doing the game.
Yeah, he was.
He said this touchdown means a lot. Means something to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And those guys know. Too, and Penn State they let him walk right down a field and score. It was incredible.
I knew it was coming. I had to turn it off.
We've been around.
Sickening.
We've been around. That's a pretty good
that one was
beat.
And again, I can't complain too much about that, because you can kind of see it. It wasn't like you had to gain. You still had to defend in that situation.
Yeah, it wasn't a crazy.
It wasn't like something.
That was just a backdoor cover.
Bizarre. Yes, exactly.
Matt,
backdoor.
This thing you gave us on This Week in Football, it starts off with frogs and dogs ? Who to thunk it?
Yeah.
I can see the headline now. The frogs poison the dogs. TCU national champions. So I think I'm taking TCU money line.
There you go. See, you should be an editor for the paper.
And Matt, I don't know if you had because a lot of these. I kept track of the dogs and the favorites.
I did put those numbers.
Overs and unders. I didn't see those on your
22,
sheet.
18, and 1 is the number that I had. The dogs were in favor of the dogs, and unders 22 and 19.
Yeah, I was about the same way, and a lot of those depending on where
your closing line,
where you got on the closing line when you bet it, but nothing major. I thought the unders were strong early.
They were, and then the better teams picked up.
And then the overs. The overs really picked up. One
observation I did have, I wanted to see what you guys thought. I'd like to ask the Doyles about this if they watched it. Purdue LSU, Brian Kelly was trying to score like 100 points. He was passing the ball with 10 minutes to go in the game. He's got like a 60-point lead, and they're running triple reverse passes and stuff.
Really?
I thought it was in very bad taste, but of course I had the under, so I was begging for it to slow down. But man, he just stuck it right in my ear. They were doing all these crazy triple reverse passes, as I mentioned, flea flickers, all kinds of crazy things. They were throwing the ball every down. I don't know if he didn't like Purdue or he was trying to show somebody something, because he was definitely shooting to score like 100 in that game.
I did not see that because I quit watching it after it got so bad.
Terrible game.
Purdue was just a really, really bad team.
I'm not sure they could have beat like West Liberty or Concord.
I'll tell you, them and Kentucky would have been a really good game.
Oh my God.
Those are two of the worst teams I saw.
How would you like to have been a fan that traveled to those games to watch those teams?
And that 21-0, Iowa, I was winning 14-0 in that game, and they were getting outgained by 200 yards in the game.
And for Iowa, 14-0 is like 45.
Oh my God, they're painful to watch. So wraps it up Monday. Yeah. I'm always sad to see college football come to an end, but it's been a great season and. Been enjoying.
We're gonna have to probably come like late April. We should schedule a Pine Room college football trip. Like take the cameras and the mics all with us. Go watch a game somewhere you want to go.
Well, on my bucket list still is Army Navy. And
yeah, where is that next year? Isn't it somewhere sweet?
Boston.
Oh, we gotta go to that.
And Boston, and then the next year it's
Boston, DC, and then Baltimore, I believe.
Probably DC or Baltimore, I think would be.
Those are the most manageable for us because we can drive there easily.
Yeah. So and then I think there's some other good games. We're gonna wait and see where Jake, our nephew, my great nephew, and your cousin goes to play. Have you heard anything on him?
No, I have not.
Haven't heard.
John,
have you heard anything on
deals in the portal that are on him? So.
Well, now, so then obviously he didn't transfer at the break then, huh?
No, he'll be at North Texas at least through the rest of this semester.
We thought he may go for spring to get.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if he had his mind made up, I have not heard anything yet. So I'm assuming we would have heard something, and then we wait for his brother in a couple years to give his pick here where he's going on the Pine Room podcast. So.
That's right. He wants to announce that on the podcast. So so football season. College football coming to an end. Monday should be a fun.
We got any thoughts on the FCS championship? I watched both those FCS semifinals. Good football.
That's going to be a really good game.
South Dakota State plays North Dakota State. That's in Frisco. South Dakota State won 23-21 in the regular season game. I looked through the yardage and stuff at those games. It was like absolutely dead even. So I would lean taking the points here, and I kind of like over. I think. Both teams left some points out there last time. I think it could be some scoring. I thought 47 was a little bit low.
Where is that game?
Texas, Frisco, Texas.
Okay, so there probably won't be any weather issues, I would think.
No, it should be good weather. Both teams will travel well. This is a big rivalry game, so it's pretty cool.
What's interesting about that is when's the last time these two teams played?
They just played a few weeks ago.
I mean, it's been at least a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, like 5-6 weeks. But through the whole playoff, I mean, it was probably like week 8 of the regular season or something like that.
That might not be a bad underplay there early if you can get it like 40, 48, 40.
It was 23-21 in the first game, and both teams had probably about 400 yards of offense. So
really?
I thought maybe the over. I thought it was a touch low, but in a rivalry game, you're right though. That normally those trend to the under.
Well, so they've been off for a while, so maybe
maybe a little rust. Maybe one of these. Maybe you do a under first half, over for the game.
There you go.
That's always a good mix. So
that ought to be a good
I could live
game.
with that definitely, but. We'll go ahead and take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand. We're going to come back. I want to briefly get Coach's thoughts on the golf tournament as we get golf cranked back up with the Century Tournament of Champions this weekend from Hawaii, and then we're going to get through our NFL picks for the week. We'll be right back on Bettor's Last Stand.
This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand. This is show number 23. Hard to imagine. Golf is kicking off, as we mentioned, as we get ready for the PGA Tour season. I guess the Live Golf Tour season as well. Anxious to see how that turns out, but we'll save that discussion for another time as we start to get some clarity heading towards the Masters. Coach, this week we got the Century Tournament of Champions at Kapalua Plantation Course in Maui. This is where all the guys who won last year come to duke it out on the first scheduled stop on the tour this year. Want to get your thoughts on some of these guys. Are you excited for golf, or you dip your toe in, or will you go diving in here?
No, well, that's a good question. I'm
the latter.
I'm gonna get after it pretty good.
High dive at Wheeling Park.
Yeah, I'm gonna get after it pretty good. But I interesting though, because I haven't done a whole lot of homework on this yet. But I see that last year's champion Cameron Smith isn't playing. Is that correct?
Well, he's on the Live Tour now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Jeez,
so he's not allowed to.
Oh man.
See, any of the guys on Live right now are not able to play.
Oh, that's
here.
right. Okay, I totally forgot about that.
They got to get that rectified.
Oh, man.
I'm hopeful they will. There's just too many good players that they can't come to an agreement. But anyway, we'll discuss hopefully with a good discussion at some point on that. But Cam Smith last year was 34 under par. I believe it was for this. And this is regarded as the easiest course on tour. It's par 73. So you usually see good players win this, like the best of the best. It's not really a long shot type tournament, but you can get some decent value on some guys. Right now, though, I would not recommend Scotty Scheffler like 8-1. I think that's just too low for golf. One good thing about betting golf, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is you can get very good value on players, very good players at good prices in golf. When you're looking into the outrights and the top 5, top 10 markets, you can get value that you can't normally get in other sports. So, your best basketball or football teams are always laying a lot of points. Money lines are very high. You're not going to get good value on them, but in golf you can. So if you have a guy that's good on this course, or playing well on a hot streak, you can get some value. In golf, obviously, is a tough thing to be on your game every week. So
you got anybody that you like?
Yeah, I thought of the top tier guys. I thought immediately Xander Schauffele and Justin Thomas both stuck out to me. Okay. Both have good course history here. Both seemingly kept sharp in the offseason, playing at some of these Pro-Am type tournaments and some of the other tournaments around the world that weren't regular tour stops. I think both guys will be coming with a vengeance. I thought both guys had, I thought JT picked it up late last year. I thought Xander Schauffele had an uncharacteristically bad year for him last year.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was bad, but he just wasn't as good as he normally is. I'd expect a lot out of him. So those are guys around the 10-1 towards the favorites that I would lean towards. A little bit longer shot. I really like Sung Jae Im. He's 18-1 to win it. I'm not sure he'll win it, but I really like him at top 5, around 3 or 4-1. He's very good at this course, played really well there last year, and he didn't putt well last year, which is strange for him. He's a very good Bermuda grass putter, so I would expect him to bounce back. And then 2 longer shot guys I thought for top 10s or top 20s. I thought Adam Scott played really well last week in Australia. Just a guy that just grinds it out. He's even though he's getting older, he's still pretty good. He's not a guy that's going to go super low like for 4 straight days and probably win these tournaments, but I think he can definitely get in the top 20, and with no cut here, I think 3-1 for a top 10 and probably around even money on a top 20 for him, I think is a good value. And then I thought Keegan Bradley, he's 45-1 to win this. I doubt he could win, but I thought first round leader was interesting with him, and then maybe a top 10 or a top 20, and again, you're getting about 3-1 and then about even money or minus 110 on the top 20. And then just 2 matchups that I kind of liked. I think Jordan Spieth will play well. I liked him over Sam Burns, and I like Sung Jae Im over Victor Hovland. Coach, any guys you like?
Who are you fading? Who you fading?
I thought I'll be against Patrick Cantlay early on here. I'll be against Billy Horschel definitely. I don't like the fade John Rahm because I think he's going to have a bounce back year too, but his pricing is always so off.
Yeah,
and he's such a huge favorite. Yeah. It's hard not to take guys against him. Will Zalatoris coming off an injury. I wouldn't fade him. I actually think you could get some value on him. And then maybe I thought that I'd probably go against Scheffler. He had such a great year last year. I'll see if he has it clicking right away. And then Sam Burns also, I'll go against.
I got one for you, Matt, that I just looked up that I like. To finish top 10, Max Homa. He's got he's got the 14th best odds to win this thing.
Yes.
And his odds to finish in the top 10 are plus 163 right now. So you can get that at good value if you take Homa to finish in the top 10.
I think Max
you got Homa's matchup?
I do
Burns.
not.
Sam
you have him
Burns.
against Burns? Okay,
Sam Burns.
You can probably find him against a few guys in various books. So again, for those of you who aren't used to betting on golf, be sure and check out your books across the state or wherever you're betting from. You'll get different matchups with different players. So if you like a guy and then you want to find a guy that you're going to fade, you can probably find him in a book. Chances are they'll have 2 or 3 different ones. And also be very careful when you're betting golf for the first time. If you're betting a tournament matchup, these will not be settled until after 72 holes. So remember that. Whereas if you're betting a round 1 matchup, that will be settled at the end of the round. So if Soup shoots 68 and I shoot 69, he's beating me in round 1. But then the 4-day cumulative is how they'll decide the tournament matchup. So be sure you check that in your book. Be sure it's always labeled pretty well. So be sure you get the right bet, because you don't want to have something you think you have a winner and you got to wait 3 more days, or you thought you had a winner on day 1 and you got to wait 3 more days. So either way you go, definitely be careful with that. Coach, anybody you like?
I'm a little against you. I like Scheffler.
Okay, but it's hard to go against him. But
again, it's big odds. But I think he's
the best player in the world.
That's what
now.
I say, and I think he's tough to beat. He's calm. He doesn't rattle like some of these other guys do. I like him. I like him a lot. I don't know, Matsuyama. I just sort of like Matsuyama. Maybe a little bit here. He's got real high odds. I'm probably play him a little bit, and then I'm with you, Soup. I like Max Homa.
Just because the tournament he won last year, the Fort, I forget what tournament when he won to get in this, but it was a real easy course and he just dominated to get through it. So if you're saying it's a course like that, then
you can score at will here. I think Max Homa is really good. I think he's ready to take the next step up to where he's more consistent, and then he can kind of battle with these guys. Golf, sad that Live. And I'm not against Live, but I really do wish they would be able to merge, because the depth of player right now is so high, and it's a shame that they're split up now. Hopefully that turns around. Any matchups, Coach, that you saw? Anything that stuck out? Or?
Yeah, I'm gonna play. I've already played a few of them. Let's see. I'm definitely playing, and I'm gonna fade Tony Finau.
Yeah,
I'm gonna play Xander Schauffele. He's matched up against him. He actually is even money. Finau's a slight favorite there. I'm going to play Xander over Finau, and then I really like JT over Finau, but JT's a pretty heavy favorite there, so you gotta watch, be careful. And then I'm going to play. I like you. You say Hovland's coming off that injury, right?
No, it was Zalatoris.
Or, I'm sorry. Yeah, Will Zalatoris is coming off an injury. I'm gonna fade him a little bit. He's against Matsuyama. I'm going to play Matsuyama as a little bit of dog. So. That's what I like, and I was thinking, Job, next year we might have to put some matchups on the Pine Room Golf Scramble.
Oh yeah,
those would be incredible.
I think that'd be fun, and then I think we should find a way, Matt, so people can pick the winners and win some Pine Room.
Yeah, I mean, I had them all made. We did them this year.
I mean,
was really fun.
Like single matchups, though. Like like single
Players,
matchups, player matchups.
Okay, individual.
We could have some individual matchups.
You guys got to get a better scoring system, though. We can't have you leaving the course not knowing who won.
No,
well, and then argue, and then when we get back, that Nick shaved a stroke off.
We need a referee or something.
Job, how many cameras do we have right now?
Well,
3? We have 2 good cameras. Mm-hmm. I mean, Job, if we can get 9 by next
9,
is that a lot of cameras? One on each hole.
9.
Contact at the Pine Room Podcast if you want to donate.
You got an old.
We'll give you the address.
Yeah, an old camera you want to donate. Well, we need one of the leaderboards that.
Walking leaderboard.
Someone
we
carrying
need
that around.
An official scorekeeper.
We'll recruit a couple of bikini models.
I think so. What would have some of the best matchups been this year? I think
Job like 1v1.
Yeah,
Job versus Say. I would.
Yeah,
they're
on the same team.
You guys split it up.
They're on the same team.
Honestly, I think Job probably could be matched up with maybe Brad or
Job against Brad. That would have been
Job and Brad or Job and Ryan Valley or Nick. Yeah,
Say and Champ. Say against Champ.
I think I'd take Champ in that big
Cooley
time.
versus James or Cooley versus Soup.
Yes.
Soup, you're in the top tier. Rodney, Soup, James, and Cooley, they're up in the top tier.
See, this is why we need cameras in every hole, because we tied. So James and I tied with Cooley and Jarrett, and I think they shot 1 extra. So I would like to protest their championship. But the hole in one, obviously, like
we got to clean up. We got to clean up some things, Job, and make that top notch, because it's on the precipice of being one of the major events in the country.
It's really good.
I mean, after watching that video and seeing some of the performances, I think
it probably slots right in behind the Masters and the U.S. Open. Well, and right above the PGA.
The other thing is the beauty of the course.
The course is pristine. Yeah, it's
John,
beautiful.
what do you think after you did all your editing on it and stuff? What do you think could have been like not different about what we do, but?
By the way, we play at Ogilvy Par 3.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched that, be sure and check out our YouTube channel. Check it out. It is must watch.
It's one of the most viewed things on our show.
To me, it's the absolute home run, the best thing we've ever done. I thought it was so funny.
The other thing about the course is the greens are so fair.
Yeah, very. Get a true roll.
A true roll with no divots.
No
and
divots.
it's it has a little break here
and
there.
It breaks towards the ocean. Yeah, like usual. Yeah.
You mostly when you go on a golf course, when you're on the green, you only take your putter. But when you're on par 3, you have to take a chipping club with you along with your putter, because if you're above the hole and like on like 6 and like 3,
you're in the weeds.
Not enough breaks. Yeah, and you also got to bring a rake to get all the leaves off. They pile up in the pine cones. It's beautiful stuff up there at Ogilvy.
What was your question, Sue?
My thing, like next year when we do all the filming and stuff for it, what would you want different for next year? Because the way you edit it, flashing to the different people, it was hilarious.
Really good.
Yeah, I think definitely we'll have to have just at least 2 cameras so we can get more coverage of everybody at each hole.
Yeah,
we don't miss the hole.
A camera on each hole would just be unbelievable.
I don't know if that's feasible though.
We can figure that out logistically. We got till next.
Are we going to expand the field, or do we keep the field?
That'll be up for vote. We may
What's
have
that mean? More people?
Yeah.
I just think
we got a waiting list. Scotty, Weeks, they all want to play.
Heavy criteria with being in our tournament.
And what's the number one?
You got to suck.
And there was a lot of guys that sucked.
Well, people always complain about not being in the tournament, but if we ask you to be in our tournament, it's not a good thing.
It's an insult.
It's an insult.
Well, that's like guys like Myersy and Bay, and hey, we want to. What, really?
Neil McCormick, wants in. Come on,
you guys. These
guys are playing skins games for $100 a skin.
Right, you guys can hit the ball straight. So anyway, that'll be fun. But golf, Matt, I'm excited for golf.
Same here.
Yeah, I know you love it. It's one of those. It's sort of a relaxing kind of bet too. It's a neat kind of bet as opposed to betting football and basketball where you're just
Right. The high lows. There's only so many bad things that can happen to you in golf. Now there is. I mean, we've had guys put up 8s and 9s on a hole and you look like you have a winner. But I mean, it's just not as prevalent as in football. Right.
It's stressful.
Right. You're right. It's a more
looking forward to that.
Sport.
I'm glad to see that's coming to.
Yes.
And I'm sure the course is going to be unbelievable.
It looks.
Where is it in Hawaii?
In Maui.
Maui.
Kapalua. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So, all right. Well, let's shift gears a little bit here before we get into our NFL picks. And Coach gets on the road. He's got who wrestles?
Wheeling Park in Barnesville.
Okay.
Should be a good dual match.
Shamrock's coming up the hill.
It's senior night, so I got to sort of get there and get my homework done.
Well, let's just a few things that I wanted to mention. We mentioned briefly about Ohio kicking off its sports betting on January 1st. 11.3 million transactions on opening day. Think about that. That's nuts. Actually beat out New York State.
11.3 million
transactions. That's not.
I wonder how many users that were.
I don't know, but it would continue to grow. So if you haven't signed up for your app in Ohio, get over there, take advantage of all that stuff.
I mean, that's an unbelievable amount.
Yeah, it is. And a couple of just other highlights from the industry from this week. We already talked about the Damar Hamlin situation. I thought this was interesting, and I had this on for last week's show, but we weren't able to go because the guys got stuck. NFL on Christmas Day attracted 5 times the handle of the 5 NBA games, those 3 games. So, again, if anybody thinks the NFL is not king, you're sadly mistaken. Yeah. So, NBA people probably were a little disappointed in their
how about that
card,
one?
But
nearing the conclusion of 2022,
I love that one.
Bettors were down to sports books by more than $6 billion across the 30 legalized states.
Yes. Wonder how do they build all those places
big
out in
casinos?
Vegas?
Yeah,
isn't that always the case though?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
never
why you'll
ever
never be ahead.
You're like that article will never ever read.
But yet more people. But 11.3 million idiots in Ohio signed up to give their money away, and I would be the same. So lots going on in the industry. Mattress Mac put a big bet on TCU last week, money line, get back $5.5 million if he hits that. He's been riding hot with the Astros winning the World Series. So that was pretty interesting. And then this Bettor at MGM had $100,000 on the Dolphins to make the playoffs. I think he's sweating right now. He's more than sweating. He's disgusted. He probably
What's the
burned his
payout
ticket
on that?
Well, it would have been 100 plus 135 on $100,000
So $1.3 million?
No, it'd be it'd be
Way
like
lower than
135,000. But I mean, it's going to be a good.
Oh yeah.
Is that worth it though?
No,
I don't think so.
but they were 8-3. They were 8-3, and now they're 8-9, 8-8.
Still, even if he puts that bet in, he's only going to win a little over double his money.
Yeah.
To me, it's $100,000.
Yeah, I mean,
like-
but if you have
that
that
makes
money,
my stomach hurt.
It's
thinking
like
about
betting
that.
the money line. Champ always thinks it's the easy
Well,
way to go.
the best bet of all time was Champs, which was he used to bet $5 to win
35 cents, right?
Well, yeah, it was Alabama, but that's his money line bet. But you know what he tells you? Hey, I win. So he's cashing his ticket. He's only making 35 cents, but that's.
But we don't unit shame.
no, never.
One more thing on
Yeah,
here,
go
man.
ahead, yeah.
I like this and this Circus Survivor. That dude was.
Oh
40
yeah, I
seconds.
wanted to talk about this at length last week.
What
but we
is
weren't
that?
able
I didn't
to.
understand what that was.
So
It's
Circus
a
Survivor is
Oh,
is
Survivor
the
pool,
biggest
yeah.
Survivor contest in the country. And yeah, go ahead, Coach.
No,
Okay.
go ahead. You
Yeah,
know, you know.
so this guy who was in it, and I mean these guys are grinded out all season.
You can't pick the same
No,
winner,
once
right?
you use a team, you're done.
Right.
Okay.
So he gets all the way to Christmas Eve. And the thing that Derek Stevens, the owner of Circa, does different than most survivors, he creates like Thanksgiving Day is its own week. And then like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day were its own week. And then you have like
Wow, that makes it
next
way
2
more
days.
difficult.
Oh yeah. So anyway, he gets all the way to Christmas Eve night. 46 seconds away this guy is from taking the entire pot down. 6.1.
Wait, how? There's more left in the season.
No, it was going to
else
be
did.
everybody was going to be gone.
Oh, no way.
He had the Raiders against the Steelers on Christmas
Oh
Eve.
my goodness.
Yeah, so he's 46 seconds away from winning $6.13 million. So then after that, he lost the next night. So he already had, actually, no, the other guys had, I'm wrong about that. He didn't have the Raiders. He was already in with a winner. He had the other guys had the
other guys.
Steelers.
Okay.
So
so
that
they
was
won.
so he was going to win because of the
Got
Raiders.
it, got it,
So
got it.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So then he has to then pick the next day's card of
Oh,
games.
my gosh.
So he picked the Dolphins and they got
Wonder
beat.
what happens if you don't have any. You know how he said he makes the weeks their own week.
Yeah.
What happens if you already use those
you're
players?
out. You're done. You got that. You have to factor that into your strategy.
Wow.
You have to save the 6 Thanksgiving Day teams and then like the whatever many teams.
Yeah.
Well, the whole card was on Christmas Eve, but Christmas Day you had to keep teams that were available at that time. So a lot of strategy goes into it. But I did feel bad for that guy. It was. I mean, it just you get so close to that. I can't even imagine.
Is there anyone left in that?
Yeah, no, they're still out. They're still playing this week. Yeah, down to
Incredible.
I think there's three guys left.
They'll
so.
split that $6 million if they. all
Well,
win.
they're already talking behind the scenes about doing that, so we'll see. But anyway, Coach, do you have time to go through NFL real fast? Or you gotta go.
I got to roll. You guys keep it going, and
Okay.
I'm going to step out. Job will duck in, and
I'm got a lot to
guys. And
we got Lauren the Bettor coming up.
Tell
in the next
Lauren the
segment.
Bettor I said hello, and XL Fresno State shirt.
Yeah.
And
Signed Derek Carr.
Enjoy the rest of the show, guys. Have
Yeah.
a great show.
Adios, mi
I
amigo.
got to roll.
All right, Coach. Good luck tonight in wrestling. Soup. Before we get into the NFL card, Jub, are you? Okay, you're still tuned in. I want to tell you guys this quick story about Champ on Christmas night. So you guys have all heard about how the Grinch stole Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, this is how Creighton stole Christmas, or how Creighton ruined Christmas for Champ. He had a Christmas night bet of Creighton minus 15.5 against DePaul. Creighton's up 17 with 6 seconds left. They have the ball, and DePaul's not fouling, obviously. There's no reason to. So this guy from Creighton tries to dribble behind his back like around half court. He loses the ball to the DePaul guy, who throws it up the court and dunks it as time expires. I mean, he was so mad. He was so angry. Ace and I were trying to calm him down. So we started joking about how that's how Creighton stole Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, so that was a sad day for Champ, but that happens to everybody. One other thing too that I wanted to mention last week that we didn't get to. I don't know if you saw the Mavericks were down 9 points with 27 seconds left. Came back and beat the Knicks in overtime. NBA teams prior to that, in the last 20 seasons, when leading by 9 points with fewer than 35 seconds remaining in the game were 0 and 13,884. That is just absolutely impossible that
I wonder
happened.
what the money line was live on the Mavericks.
God, yeah, that'd be a great question. Money lines, that's one thing I always try to do when teams fall down and start to look, so you can start to see like what the Vikings were that day against the Colts. And just I mean, there's a lot of value out there, people, if you can find it. It's there to be had. But I guess it's time to go through the NFL bets. Soup's going to give us his best bets of the week, so Job, feel free to intervene. Well, your team opens up the bidding here. Saturday game, Chiefs at Raiders. The Chiefs minus 7.5 right now, total 52.5. This game might actually end up going up a little bit higher as Derek Carr is benched. Soup, thoughts on this game?
If the Chiefs play everybody here, there's no reason they shouldn't win this game by more than 8 points. I think Mahomes understands that they got to get hot at the right time. He wants to get everyone the ball. I think the Chiefs' defense is starting to play a little bit better. I think the Chiefs are actually a scary team, and whoever has to travel to Kansas City in the playoffs, that's such a hard place to win. So I like the Chiefs to cover whatever that number ends up getting.
And the Chiefs have really struggled covering spreads this year, but I agree. I think I just don't know how the Raiders even have anything to play for at all. Chiefs 5-10-1 ATS on the season. I like the over in the game. I thought that could be good. Like you said, I think the Chiefs will use this as kind of a dress rehearsal for the playoffs. They're probably going to get the bye now, so they're going to really want to be sharp this week. Job, any thoughts?
I'm glad that Derek Carr is benched. I'd never been a Derek Carr fan.
I think he's not very good. I like him as a guy. I just don't think he's very good.
I never thought he was any good. I mean, I don't think he's horrible, but I never thought he was any. Right. I don't think he was anything to rave about. I'm glad he's benched. I don't know how we're going to play the rest of the year. I'm going to say
more game.
I'm going to say not great, and we'll pack it up.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll pack it up and let's get to the drawing board.
On to the draft.
Yeah.
All right, and the next game on Saturday, that was, again, 4:30 on Saturday, so be aware of that. You got 2 Saturday games. Tennessee visits Jacksonville. We touched on this game. This is a win and you're in game for the AFC South. Jacksonville minus 6.5, the total 40. I take the points with the Titans here, although I like Say's Jags to win the game and get in the playoffs. What do you think, Sue?
I'm a huge Jags fan this week and going into the playoffs because if the Jags win this game, they're going to get a home game week 1.
Yeah, they will.
Someone has to go to Jacksonville, and that's not going to be an easy place to play in the playoffs. I like ETN. I think Trevor Lawrence gets better every single game he plays, and Evan Ingram is a legit weapon. He's one of the best tight ends in the league right now.
Glad they're starting to use him finally.
Yeah, so I think the Jags defense looks good. I think Lawrence is a winner. I mean,
he is.
Especially coming from Clemson. You saw how many games he won there, and I think he's starting to get comfortable with that offense. I think the Jags cover that 6.5 against the Titans, just because I think they're gonna walk through this, and I think whoever has to come to Jacksonville, so they'll be the 4 seed.
So who's that going to be? Either the Chargers or the Ravens.
Chargers or Ravens,
right?
Whoever comes to Jacksonville,
yeah. Right now, it's scheduled to be the Chargers.
That's not. I mean, I like the
Jags.
I like the Jags to win that game.
That's a great game though. 2 great quarterbacks. Well, Justin Herbert is going to be like a revolutionary talent, and then Lawrence is getting better, as you said. I think that really could be a good game.
But give me the Jags there. I like the Jags to win that game.
I like the game under a touch. I think that'll be a very closely played game with so much on the line. So I'm going under in that one. All right, let's jump to Sunday. A game doesn't mean a whole lot. Tampa at Atlanta. The Falcons now 4.5. That's based on they thought that Brady and these guys were going to sit out, but it looks like Brady's going to strong arm his way into playing this week. Again, I will say this. Be sure to check availability of these players before you bet these games because you just don't know. There's a lot up in the air. Tampa has nothing to play for. They've already secured the division. Atlanta basically should just lose the game to get a better draft pick. Any thoughts on the game?
I just don't. If you're betting this, I don't even know how you bet this.
I'd probably just say under.
Yeah, don't even play around with it because Atlanta should lose for a better draft pick. Right. I can see the Bucs winning like 21-10 or something like that.
I think Brady will want to keep his offense sharp because they're obviously haven't been where he wants them to be yet. So
maybe who's the Falcons going to start at quarterback? Is it going to be Desmond?
Yeah, and probably Ritter.
And maybe he wants to play well at the end of the season, so maybe he scores points, but I've got no idea.
Is it a thing for teams if it intentionally lose games or better?
They're not supposed to, but by playing in the NFL, it's as simple as starting a shitty quarterback and you basically do what you want to do without making it obvious.
Yeah.
So, it's always kind of been, a hush-hush type thing. NBA, that's pretty obvious they tank. But all right, let's move on. Houston at Indianapolis. Indianapolis minus 2.5, total 38. This is again, both of these teams should try to lose this game for better draft position. I have no thoughts on this game. I'd probably lean to the under. Soup, anything?
Miserable game to watch. I know the Texans are going to try to lose this game to get the number 1 overall pick, because if the Texans win, they give up the 1 pick to the Bears.
Right.
So I don't know how, and the Colts are just miserable to watch right now.
They are.
Yeah, I'm probably staying away from that one too.
Yes, pass for sure. All right, another 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Minnesota visits the Bears. Vikings minus 5.5, total 45.5. Vikings need to win the game. They have a shot, at advancing up these NFC standings here. They could get to 2 or honestly, I think they might even be allowed to get to 1.
Yeah, there's 3 teams left that are able to get the 1 seed: the Vikings, the Cowboys, and the Eagles.
Yes.
And they all need to win and have other teams lose.
So the Bears, I found out before we came in here, are starting Nathan Peterman now as Fields
Don't
is
hurt
out.
Fields.
So Fields, the Bears will work on their draft position, and this line is going to jump up. So by the time you listen to this will be at least 8 or 10 probably.
I think Fields is probably worth a couple more points than that too. So I agree with you, 9, 10.
Yep.
Dude, how about the Bears? How about the Bears, the position they're going to be in? They can trade back. They don't need a quarterback at the key spot.
They're in a good spot. They're in a really good spot. They did well for themselves, as Jubb just mentioned about the tanking. I think they found out a way to do it. They still looked competitive, but they still did what they needed to do and lose.
I think if you're the Bears, I think something sweet would be to obviously trade back. You're going to get that first-round pick. I think you ask for an early second-round pick, go get someone on defense for the Bears, and then go get Justin Fields a weapon in the early second round. There's going to be so many quarterbacks and defensive players taken in the first round.
And teams desperate to want to trade you.
There should be awesome wide receivers left in that early second round for the Bears.
Yeah, they definitely need to replenish the defense because they got rid of Roquan Smith and then one of the other good pass rushers they had. So yeah, they definitely got to rebuild there. But I like the strategy there you just suggested. All right, Carolina at New Orleans. New Orleans minus 3.5, total 41.5. Carolina lost a tough one last week. I was on them, of course, against the Bucs. They had the game in hand and then they fell apart. Mike Evans scores 3 times for Cooley. I don't really have a thought on this game. In both teams' best interest to lose, but I'm probably playing under. Jubb, what do you think?
Yeah. lose.
If you can both lose, figure out a way. So, Soup?
Skip. I don't want anything to do with it.
Garbage game. All right, Jets at Dolphins, another 1 o'clock kick. Both these teams had such high hopes a few weeks ago. Both of them really, really fizzled out late. Dolphins minus 1, total 38.5. I like the under here. I think this is going to be I don't know. It's hard to motivate a team. You don't know what you need, and you got to win.
I'm so excited.
How do you get back up?
Well, one, because everyone's going to be everyone's going to be scoreboard watching for this because this game's huge for the Steelers.
Sure is.
The Jets have to beat the Dolphins. If the Dolphins win this game, they're into the playoffs.
So you're Jets. Jets.
I think I don't know if this is me just talking myself into it, but if Mike White gets to start, how does he not want to play great to be able to solidify himself into a chance into the conversation next year?
Pick it up from last week
because
very good.
Mike White knows if he wants to be a starting quarterback, it's going to be him versus Zach Wilson. I don't think the Jets go and spend a draft pick on another quarterback.
Not yet. I think they'll give it another chance. I don't unless it's somebody they really, really love, which I don't think they'll find.
I haven't looked at this yet though, but with the Jets being the underdogs, underdogs usually have good value on their team total points. So I don't know what the Jets are at, but I probably would take that in this game.
Yeah, you might get I don't know,
16.5.
Yeah, I was going to say 17.5 probably. Yeah, probably a touch more than 16.5. But yeah, that's a good thought. Let's move on to the Bills and the Patriots. Obviously, a lot of questions here about this game. It opened most places Bills 7.5, total 42.5. I just say stay away from this game. It obviously depends on the health of their teammate Damar Hamlin. I would say before you could even get semi-focused on playing this game. Soup, what do you say?
I stay away from it. I obviously want the Bills to win for Damar and everything like that. The Bills are obviously the better team, but who knows what can happen, especially with the seeding and all that stuff.
Lots on the line, definitely. All right, let's go to a big game for you. The Browns visiting the Steelers. Steelers minus 3. I've seen 2s out there. Total 40.5. Already smack talk going on in this game. I originally thought I liked the under in this game, but I'm not so sure. Both of these teams' secondaries struggle at times, although the Steelers were a little bit better lately as they shut down Devontae Adams, which is surprising on Christmas Eve. But so I'm kind of rethinking it. I don't love anything here. What do you think?
I'm going on FanDuel and betting the final score 24-23 both ways.
Wow.
So I don't know who's going to win. I obviously want the Steelers.
Where'd you come up with that? Just a hunch?
I just know how these games work.
That's good.
Someone's going to win the game by 1 point or a field goal.
Okay.
So
I like it. That's a great value.
On both teams to win that 24-23.
I'm always skeptical of Soup's reads.
Yeah.
Soup. Soup's always got a guy or like
I'm up though in my career, so
he does very good exotic bets.
Yeah, that's just the hunch.
He can't pick a high school game.
No, I can't.
Steelers
money line, simple.
Yeah. Joe, what do you say in that game?
Well, I keep my distance from a lot of.
Does Hannah
NFL.
like the Steelers?
I don't think she watches NFL. She likes Michigan State.
Oh, Sparty.
For whatever reason. I don't know why.
All right, Sparty. All right. I've only met like 2 Sparty fans my whole life. Cool. All right, let's move on to another AFC North battle. Baltimore visiting Cincinnati. Cincinnati -6. Total 43. This could have been for the AFC North Championship, but with the uncertainty of the Bengals-Bills game, we'll just consider it not to be. Ravens are in the playoffs safely. I imagine they're not going to play Lamar Jackson, but they might want to get him some reps. I kind of think they should play him. Bengals need to try to win. They're still technically allowed to get the 2 seed, so lots can happen here. But again, be aware. Soup, any thoughts on this game?
No, I like the Ravens to win this game. I don't know what the Bengals are going to have going on after last week. I mean, the Bengals are the better team, but I know the Ravens got to start winning at some point.
Somebody told me this today, which I found to be crazy and a little bit eerie, that poor kid gets hurt in Cincinnati. You had AB getting knocked out in Cincinnati. You had Shazier. All that in Cincinnati.
Horrible.
How cursed can one town be?
Yeah, horrible.
Good Lord, that's terrible.
I've never heard anything good in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati chili, Skyline, baby. It's
someone
great.
Sent out a tweet thanking the medical staff there.
Yeah, they did a great job. Those people don't get enough love, and they saved a life. We've got a couple more games before we get Lauren the Bettor. Dallas at Washington. Any thoughts on this game?
Dallas is fighting for the 1 seed, but I mean, I can't trust either. I'll stay away from it.
How about Rams Seahawks? Obviously, the Seahawks need the game. I like the Rams. I think Baker Mayfield would be a pain in their ass.
Maybe Baker
covers. I don't know if
Baker plays to get signed for next year. Obviously, they're not going to go away from Stafford, but Baker's wanting to get on another team. So
there'll be a lot of eyes on that game. He'll be playing for a job. Chargers Broncos, useless game. Broncos are terrible. Chargers are already locked in their playoff spot, so I'd imagine they'll play their starters for maybe a drive or two and then move on. And then we got Giants, Eagles. Giants aren't playing anybody. Eagles need the win to keep the number 1 seed. I imagine they will. They're laying 14, total 43. I'd probably say Eagles and maybe even under. They might win that game 31-0 or something. Any thoughts on that one?
Nah, that's going to be a miserable game to watch.
How about Arizona at San Francisco? Frisco needs to just win the game for their seeding. 14 is the spread there, and the total is 40. Arizona's a disaster.
Yeah, horrible.
Don't love anything there. I might even take a look at Arizona, though, plus the 14.5. And then the big game late. Hopefully it means something. Will mean something to Green Bay regardless.
Yeah.
Green Bay hosts the Lions on Sunday Night Football. Total 49.5. Green Bay laying 4.5 at home at Lambeau. This will be a great game, I think, if the Lions
I'm so excited to watch
engaged.
this game. I'm going to give my my NFC championship picks here. I think the Packers sneak in and then make a run, and there's going to be unbelievable value on that.
Yep.
So I think the Packers play the Eagles in the NFC championship, and the Packers win it, go to the Super Bowl, and I think they get beat by the Chiefs.
I like it. I think the winner of the Packers, and if they end up playing San Francisco, whoever wins that game, I think makes a deep run.
Yeah, deep run.
And probably goes to the Super Bowl. AFC, man, so tough, especially with what happened to Bills in Cincinnati. And then, I mean, I kind of like the Chiefs, but I don't love their wide receivers, so I think that could be an issue. And their defense, like you said earlier, is playing a little bit better. But anyway, we're going to take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand, and when we return, we are going to be joined by Lauren the Bettor, who checks in. We talked to her back in August, I believe, and she's going to let us know what's going on in her life of betting as she continues to take the betting stratosphere by storm, growing. So we will be back with Lauren the Bettor here on Bettor's Last Stand.
This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand. We are pleased to be joined by Miss Lauren the Bettor. She's an outstanding up-and-comer in the sports betting industry. We've had her on the show before, way back in the warm weather times here. I think it was like August that we talked to her, right around the beginning of football season. Lauren, welcome to the Bettor's Last Stand show under the Pine Room Podcast umbrella. Thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And you've got a lot going on right now, so we're excited to talk to you. How have you been?
I've been good. You guys have had a lot going on too. It's awesome to see you guys grow, and now this fancy studio. A lot's happened though since August, right?
Yes, a lot has happened. We've done a lot here. You've done a lot as well. You were on the move. Now, you lived in Texas the last time we talked to you, correct?
I did. I lived in the great state of Texas. Never thought I was going to move, and ended up moving to Arizona. And I got to say, it's not as perfect as Texas. Texas is pretty darn perfect.
But they got sports betting.
Exactly. And I'll take sports betting over state income tax any day of the week.
Yeah, right. I don't know how your husband feels about that, but yeah, I would agree with you. So yeah. That's really cool. I noticed that you just got back from Vegas. Were you out there recently?
I was. I do find myself in Vegas fairly frequently, but it was actually really nice. I was in Vegas for work, and it was a female professional conference that I was at, and it was all women in the gaming industry. And I saw
some of your stuff on Twitter. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was so great. There's so many women that are starting to get into the gaming space, not only as bettors, but like working kind of from an administrative standpoint for these casinos. And it's just great to see, women are in there, they're out there, they're climbing the ranks, and it's just so nice and empowering. It
is, and I got to compliment you. You do such a great job with all your social media and everything, and on the other shows that you're on with all the ladies that you were speaking of there. Just really cool stuff. I've always wanted ladies to get into sports betting. I always thought it was a great thing because you even mentioned this maybe even before. I don't know if it was on camera or off, but when we talked about just how much smarter in general women usually are than men. And I always thought it was like, I just love to get girls' takes on these games and breaking them down and, things that they find interesting that we overlook or whatever it would be. I just, again, you do such a great job. So how have you done as far as growing your brand and things like that since the last time we talked to you?
That's a great question. So I've taken some various breaks from social media. So you guys might remember I'm a mom of 3. So life gets crazy very quickly. And so I've spent some time kind of just focusing on the kiddos. They're back in school now for, post-winter break. So I kind of fired things back up again. But what I've been doing lately is I've tried to lean in more to the female angle of things, and more specifically the mom angle, just of betting is not just for degenerates. Betting is also not just for young men. It's kind of for everybody. And so, it's not really been necessarily content explicitly to grow my brand, but really it's more like, hey, this is who I am. I am a mom. And so, I balance that with all sorts of things. Some of that is betting. And, actually it was funny. My 7-year-old the other day, unprompted, started to explain to me how money line betting works.
That's great.
Lauren was like, how does he pick up on this stuff? And it's like, oh, right, because he hears his mom talk about it. Or the other day, my 5-year-old daughter was playing at my desk where I'm sitting right now and pretending she was on a podcast. And she was just doing it herself. And it was just cute to see. But anyway, really cool. My point is a lot of my brand is just being who I am and and really truthfully, I don't even pretend to be a stat savant. And I know a lot of the cappers out there are so good and so articulate, and they can rattle off all sorts of stats, no problem. Whereas me, and I think a lot of females, they tend to be more research oriented. So I will get laser focused maybe on a game or a player, and I'll learn everything I want to learn to make a decision there. But I'm not just unilaterally knowing necessarily the every single stat and everything.
Right. Yeah, Lauren, and I am not a savant of sports at all. That's why I wasn't on here last time, because I don't know anything about sports.
He's the behind-the-scenes guy. He does all the good creative work.
But I kind of relate to what you're saying about being focused on one thing, because I like to watch UFC. I don't know anything about UFC. I don't know. I mean, I know a vague amount, but if it's a fight or something, I'll focus heavy on that fight and get details on that fight, pick who I want, and then I'm good. I don't know anything about anything else. And then I wanted to get just real quick, and then I'll shut up. But I just recently have had a girlfriend, and these guys were talking about last time that we were on that you were on here talking about how women are smarter than men in a lot of aspects of things. And I'm sitting behind the camera prior to having a girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, okay, ha ha ha. And then things have changed over the past month, and I could have never been more wrong in my life.
That's a theme. You're gonna, as a male, you often will think I was wrong.
Yes.
He should get used to that then, huh, Lauren? He should get used to it. Yeah. Hey, I think one of the most refreshing things about you, and obviously we got to meet you back in the summer, obviously via phone, but you are just yourself, and that is very refreshing. And that's kind of what we do with our podcasts and with our betting show. We just want to be regular. We just talk like we talk. We just act like we act. And then, we know some things. We know a thing or two, just like you. But I do, and I got to compliment you on it that you haven't, deviated from who you are and things like that. And I think it's really cool to see a real world mother taking care of her children, raising her kids, and then finding time to sports bet. I think it's super cool. Soup, what do you
Lauren,
think?
I wanted to first off say congratulations on all of your success over the past couple months, year. For however long you've been doing this, it's been cool to see you grow. And you were on our show when we had like 150 followers, and now we're all the way up to almost 800. So it's kind of cool to have you on as a friend to start, and now as a regular. Now you're now a friend of the podcast. So I just wanted to let you know something to look forward to, what you were just saying about your kids kind of getting involved with this. One of our best friends has a little brother that's 13, and he told us a story on Thanksgiving Eve the other night. Our best friend, they were sitting around the table, and the 13-year-old looked at the dad and said, "Hey dad, is there an app I can download to bet on the game tonight?"
Yeah.
Wow.
It's perfect. Oh, yeah, your kids will be doing that here soon before you know it. One thing we definitely want to touch on, obviously, the news of the week. Thoughts on the situation the other night with Damar Hamlin. I know it's a sad topic, but it's got to be at least touched on by all people. I like to get everybody's thoughts. Were you watching the game? Were you getting down on some in-play betting or anything at that point? Just give us your overall take, what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, my thoughts are with him, his family, the team, the league. I mean, clearly, it's just you feel the shockwaves this is uncharted territory, absolutely tragic. For me personally, like, I had some action on the game because obviously highly anticipated game,
Sure.
but I actually wasn't watching it at the time. I was actually putting together a desk for my son, but I saw that the game was delayed, and so I kind of thought, I didn't really think anything of it. I thought maybe it was a weather thing or something,
Right.
And then I started seeing what happened, and so what's interesting though, and this is why I love sports, and this is probably why you guys love sports too, is like there's such an outpouring of support and community when it comes to sports, and so seeing so many different people from different teams, from different sports, from different networks, people who acknowledge that they don't even watch football, all, unified in voicing their support. And, even Hamlin's charity that he has, like, has raised so much money in the last couple of days. And I think that's the thing that, gambling Twitter, for example, as a comparison, like, that's a community like that. And that's why I like gambling Twitter. It's just like a, community of people who have like similar interests. And it's just a tiny corner of how big the sports loving community is. And the Hamlin, injury, so tragic. It does expose this amazing like world that we live in, and sometimes it does take a tragedy to see that. It
was listening to Ryan Clark speak and Dan Orlovsky and Booger and all them that night it happened. Everyone in the whole world paused and started to listen and come together and pray, and everyone was hoping for the best for one person in an entire group, the team, the Bills, and the whole NFL. They wanted nothing but the best for that player. And it was nice to see everyone come together and kind of hope for the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I know we get updates on him, a couple times a day. It sounds like it's still a critical situation. Hopefully, there's signs of improvement. But yeah, and it really goes to show how precious life is too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's switch gears to a little more positive topic. But yeah, I wanted to at least get everybody's opinion on that. College football playoff this past weekend. Obviously, two incredibly exciting games. Who were you on those games, and what did you think overall of the two semifinal games?
So Fiesta Bowl was in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Actually, my husband was able to go.
Cool.
And talk about a crazy game. I love that TCU won.
Right.
I didn't think they were going to going into the game. I don't think many people did. I also thought Ohio State was going to win.
Yeah.
They didn't.
I
So,
did
like,
too.
it's been an interesting season. It's been an interesting bowl season, too. Going into the championship game, I would love to see TCU win.
Right.
I think they've proven that they can manage the stress really well, and they've
Definitely.
continued to be pretty comfortable with surprising folks. So I haven't actually placed my bets on that game yet.
Would you take a shot with them on the money line as well as taking the points?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like it.
I typically will do that. Like, if I think a team is good enough to win, like, I usually throw it in, like, they're good enough to cover too. So, it's one of those things, like, I don't always bet money line, but when I do, I'm also betting.
No, that's good.
That'd be a good T-shirt to have.
Hopefully it turns out better than your Las Vegas Aces bet that you talked about with us on the show way back.
Most things have turned out better.
Let's hope. What about on the total in the championship game? Any thoughts over or under on that number? Or do you have?
What's the line at?
Well, right now, when I came in here today, let me see what
62 and a half,
62 and a half, yeah, I think it was in most places, yeah.
I mean, I'd probably shoot under on that only because the last several games in the bowl have just been games they've been going off like insane. So I always come back to all right, the universe seeks balance. Like, things will surely even out here. So I'll go under on that. But yeah, I mean, these bowl games have been insane.
Yeah, they have been. How have you done overall? Did you bet on most of the games, or how did you approach bowl season?
So I had 2 games that I was on primarily. I mean, I sprinkled on
right.
But the 2 games I was, so to speak, all in on, and that I was talking about a lot was the LA Bowl, which was my Fresno State.
Oh yeah.
Washington State. Fresno State easily won that game.
I was on Fresno. Well done.
Good. Well done for you. I had to beat Fresno State.
Did you go to that game? Did you go?
I did.
Okay. I thought I saw you there. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It was so much fun.
Cool.
But you can't bet in California, as you know. So
yeah. Jeez.
So I had to place all my bets with literally.
Yeah.
All right, get them in now. But yeah, that was a great game. Great game to be at. SoFi Stadium is gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
So that was a great experience. And then the other bowl game I was on was Cotton Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Tulane, USC. I was all over Tulane.
Nice, good winner.
Yeah, I mean,
what a game that was.
I sweat that one out, man.
Yeah, that was an incredible game. USC, I mean, they have 600 yards of offense and they can't win. But that's kind of what I thought. Is that what you thought too? Their defense is just so bad. I thought Tulane would score on them. I didn't know that they could win, but I thought they had a chance.
I thought they had a chance too. And actually, one of my friends who used to play for Tulane back in his day, he was like, dude, USC looks great except for their Swiss cheese defense. And he's totally right.
Yes.
They could not stop. So
yeah.
Anyway,
those are 2 good ones. Then your 2 biggest games, you came out on top, so that's a good sign.
I did.
So let's quickly mention Fresno State. Coach is waiting on his T-shirt after you guys had that UCLA win total bet. He's expecting that extra large Fresno State shirt in the mail, Job. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if he deserves it, but I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So unfortunately, he came out on the wrong side of that. But that happens.
That's a theme for a lot of the futures bets I placed.
Yeah, so just recapping some of your stuff, just a tough year futures wise, or are these most of the futures that you made when you went down to Louisiana early in this?
I did a lot of futures down in Louisiana. So I went into NFL season like many people, thinking that the Raiders weren't going to be as crappy as they were.
Right.
I didn't think the Raiders were going to consistently blow double-digit leads.
Right, exactly.
I also thought the Colts would be a lot better.
So did I.
You and many.
What happened? But I will say my Super Bowl future bets still alive with the Bills.
Okay, because I was going to ask you if you had any live futures for NFL and anybody that you haven't bet yet that you're interested in as the playoffs get ready to begin next week.
Yeah, as we get closer, so the Eagles obviously have been kind of to me at least, this surprise, contender this season. So I think I'll probably end up putting money into the play on Super Bowl being Eagles and Bills to.
Oh, okay. Exact outcome. Okay. Did those 2 being in it? Okay.
Yeah. I think Bills will still win it, but I think that the Eagles will be the NFC rep.
I think. Don't you think the Bills are going to take a lot of outsider interest now that with their unfortunate things that happened to them the other night? They'll kind of be like America's team. I think people will pull for them if they don't have a dog in the fight.
Well, throw their weight behind them for sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too with the tragic incident. Like, what does that even mean for some futures bets?
Sure.
Like some of the futures bets I place, like,
right.
it's probably still something that the books are sorting out.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do you know? Because it's unclear. Like, is this Bills and Bengals game even going to get rescheduled? Like,
sure. There's a lot up in the air with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the book, and we always tell people on this show, especially people that are new to betting, just got to know your house rules. Every book's different.
Yeah.
Some they don't have to play 17. The book that I work at, you actually don't. As long as the season is deemed complete by the NFL, it'll be action. But there's several books that got to have 17 games. So it will be interesting to see if they just give them a tie or how all that works out. So, there's a lot of uncertainty. Do you know how any of your futures, anything that you have that's hinging on that game?
No, other than I think.
Or any players?
I may have made some futures bets on Josh Allen yards, and that's going to be, I'm sure, voided just because there's one less game. Like, how do you?
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
I'll have to check that ticket, but
sure.
it's like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But like I said, a lot of my futures were toast. Like they were
Hey, don't you find as the longer you're in this betting community and the more shows you're on and just appearances you make and just getting to learn more about the industry as it goes on, and I tell my workers where I work, you never are going to learn all this stuff. You're going to learn more every day, and it's an ever changing landscape. So for tell some of our people, any ladies that may be watching our show, or just anybody who in general is just getting into sports betting for the first time, just some of your observations about how much you actually do learn, male, female, regardless. It's never ending, isn't it?
It is never ending. And it's like one of those things, there's no right way to do it. Everybody kind of has their own approach. The way I tend to approach is like, I just don't overthink it. And I know there's a lot of people who have like systems and spreadsheets and algorithms, and it works great for them. That's not personally what I do. Like I mentioned, I also didn't do great on my futures bets. So take what I have to say with a grain of salt. But I think a lot of it is just like trust your gut, because there is an element of that. And also, like, if you don't feel comfortable, like if you don't know what to bet, then don't bet.
Stay off. Right.
Yeah. Like, don't. I mean, there's plenty of bowl games even where it's like, I like this matchup. I don't like the numbers on the board, for example. And
Definitely. Good point.
I think like a lot of it starts with like just spending time in a book, like an actual physical book.
Just soaking it up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is just soaking it up. And that's, I think, when I really fell in love with sports betting is like, I'd find myself in Vegas for work or whatever the case is. And I'd be like kind of just killing time. So I'd be this lone woman sitting at a Caesar Sportsbook or whatever, and then some old Italian guy sits next to me, and then I'm just overhearing him to somebody else, and then you kind of get pulled into the conversation, and you're just kind of listening and observing and just getting comfortable with it all. But a lot of it comes down to just like look at that board and try to figure out what those numbers mean, because it's really not that complex.
Right.
It's intimidating if you don't really know what you're looking at, but once you It takes like 20 minutes for someone to explain it to you, and then it's like, oh, that's all it is.
Yeah, right. Then you're in good shape. Yeah, and you're right. You do as you sit around those books and you listen to those old guys. There's no greater lessons learned than sitting around at the sports book or the racetrack and listening to these guys that have been watching this stuff daily for so many years, and that's definitely valuable. But before we get ready to let you go, any dark horses in the NFL playoffs that maybe you'd be interested in? And then I'll let these guys finish up with a question or two. Any dark horse and anybody that maybe you think if the Packers could get in, they could make some noise? Anybody like that? Anybody stick out?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners sneak in there.
Okay.
I don't know, but
they're playing
I
well.
Be surprised. Here's a hot take that I think about a lot since the rate. This is not really a bet necessarily. Actually, you know what? I think it is a bet in some books for the next team that Derek Carr is going to show.
Oh yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen to him since he's been benched in the Raiders. You know, I saw one theory. This is interesting. I like this theory that Tom Brady will leave the Buccaneers, go to the Raiders, and then Derek Carr will show up on the Buccaneers.
Wow. That would be interesting.
Wow, that is a hot take. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of love that. I mean, who knows? But I know, like, you know, it's been said that Tom Brady at one point looked like he was going to go to the Raiders before he showed up.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I don't know if Derek Carr is going to have a future at the Raiders. I can also see a scenario like Jimmy G had with the Niners of, like, you know, they tried to get rid of him.
And they can't, and then they have to have him.
That's another good
and
point.
then he ends up saving their season or whatever. Yeah. Maybe you can get some inside scoops seeing Fresno State connection. And you can get down on some action. So, yeah, Soup, you got anything for Lauren before we finish up?
Lauren, away from sports, how's the food compare in Arizona right now?
Oh, good question.
In Texas. I know Texas has unbelievable barbecue, great Tex-Mex with the Mexican food. But Arizona, they said, holds its own, especially in a big city like where you are. How's the food going?
The food's pretty good. So I'm in Scottsdale, so a lot of the food options. I'm actually right by TPC.
I was going to ask you, are you going to go to the Waste Management this year?
I don't know. I haven't gotten a ticket yet. I also have not gotten a ticket for the Super Bowl, and that's also going to.
Oh yeah, jeez, you got a lot going on in your backyard.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. It's dangerous, this being a live betting state.
Yes.
So a lot of the food out my way, it's like fresh, like salad stuff. It's like more like California, healthy food, whereas like in Texas, good luck finding healthy.
Right. Yeah.
You have to go to like a pet store for the rabbit food.
Texas isn't really known for its salads, I don't think. Yeah.
No, they're not. But I love it. Like that. I think there's like lots of great food options and pretty good.
Good job.
No, I got nothing for you. I just appreciate where you've come from and how you've kind of built yourself up as this. Because like I said, I know nothing about. I mean, I know a vague amount about sports.
You know more than you.
Yeah, just being around these guys and hearing like your story makes a lot of sense to me. Because once you start picking things up, and then when you start getting into it a little bit, it kind of makes more sense, and you're more comfortable with it. So I appreciate where you've come from, and it's cool to hear. Yeah.
All right, well,
the beautiful thing about sports betting is like it's okay to not understand it. So much of it is like the cultural element of like it's just fun to like be in the room where it's
certainly is.
We just were on a trip and there were a couple games on and we just threw on a house bet. Like every night we would throw on a house bet, and then I know nothing, but it's just fun to be able to root for something, even though I don't. I'm not going to follow it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Lauren, we thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us here on Bettor's Last Stand in the Pine Room Podcast. We wish you all the success. We're going to keep following you. We're going to stay in touch. You're doing a great job, and keep up the great work. And thank you again for joining us.
You guys too. Great seeing you.
Thank you, Lauren. Keep working hard.
Take care. Lauren. Yep. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Recording stopped.
Recording stopped. Are we still recording? We probably are. So, all right. Well, let's just guys. That was cool. Jubb, thanks for sitting in. That was fun. Good to check in with her. Soup, thanks for arranging that.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Great stuff.
Job.
I'm glad she's doing well. And again, it is nice to see someone who's just real and just another person like us that just enjoys sports betting for what it is and is continuing to learn and grow in the industry and make a name for herself. So we wish Lauren all the best. That's going to do it for us here on Bettor's Last Stand. We appreciate you for tuning back in. We were sorry about last week. Jubb made it home alive at least. That's good. It was a little scary there, but we will be back here in the studio next week with another episode of Bettor's Last Stand. And until then, best of luck with your wagers this weekend. Have a great weekend. I don't remember what I was going to say after that.
Peace out, everybody.
Yeah, all right. Goodbye.
We'll see you next time.
Onward and upward. Win something this weekend. Cash, cha-ching, bada boom. Goodbye.